I always knew my Aunt Diana was jealous of my mother's inheritance, but I never thought she'd stoop this low. My name is Sarah Collins, 34, single mother to twins Amy and Adam, age 8, when my mother passed away last year, leaving me her beautiful Victorian house and a substantial trust fund for the kids. Diana's mask of familial affection finally cracked. It started with small things, anonymous calls to the school about the twins looking undernourished, complaints to the HOA about my yard maintenance, and whispers at family gatherings about how I was struggling as a single mother. But last Thursday, everything escalated when 5 different neighbors showed up at my door with a CPS worker. I didn't recognize any of them, which was strange because I knew everyone on our street. The first red flag. Miss Collins, the CPS worker, Mrs. Martinez, said gravely. These individuals have filed separate reports about witnessing concerning behavior toward your children. A well-dressed woman stepped forward, dabbing at fake tears. I saw her dragging those poor children by their arms last Tuesday. They were screaming. I almost laughed. Last Tuesday, the twins and I were in Disney World, our annual vacation week. I had the photos, hotel receipts, and Mickey Mouse ears to prove it. I heard the little girl crying almost every night, added a man in a business suit. The screams keep me awake. Second red flag. The houses on either side of mine have been empty for months, undergoing renovation. There were no immediate neighbors to hear anything. But the most telling detail, all 5 witnesses kept glancing nervously at their phones, as if checking a script. That's when I remembered the Ring camera footage I hadn't reviewed yet. Mrs. Martinez, I said calmly, would you like to see something interesting? I pulled out my tablet and accessed my security system. The previous night's footage showed my Aunt Diana's Mercedes pulling into the far corner of the cul-de-sac at 11 p.m. One by one, these same 5 concerned citizens had approached her car, each leaving with what looked suspiciously like an envelope. Just a moment, I said, turning up the volume. Diana's voice came through crystal clear. Remember, stick to the script. Sarah's violent with the kids every Tuesday and Thursday. You've heard screaming. Make it convincing. There's another 1,000 if CPS removes the kids. Mrs. Martinez's expression shifted from concern to anger as she watched. One of the witnesses, the crying woman, started backing toward the door. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Oh, I don't think there's any misunderstanding, I replied, switching to footage from just an hour before they arrived. There was Diana again, huddled with the group in the nearby park, handing out papers, their scripts, presumably. The house should have been mine, Diana had said clearly in the video. My sister had no right to leave everything to Sarah. Once CPS takes the kids, we can challenge the will. She'll be proved an unfit mother. Mrs. Martinez had seen enough. This is a criminal offense, she stated, turning to the now pale-faced group of actors. Filing false reports to CBS, conspiracy to commit fraud. The witnesses, scattered like cockroaches in light, practically tripping over each other to get out my door. But I wasn't done yet. My security system had caught something else. Something that would wipe the smug smile off Diana's face permanently. Mrs. Martinez, there's more, I said, switching to footage from my backyard camera. This is from 2 nights ago. The video showed Diana and her husband sneaking around my property at 2 a.m., planting evidence. Empty wine bottles, scattered pills, and what looked like drug paraphernalia. They even staged some broken toys and torn children's clothes. We did a property sweep before entering, Mrs. Martinez said, her jaw tight. Found all of that. I assume you have the footage of them purchasing these items. I nodded, pulling up the final video. Diana at the dollar store, filling her cart with toys to break and clothes to tear. She paid in cash, but her face was clearly visible. Just then, my phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil, it was Diana. Sarah, darling, her voice dripped honey and poison. I just heard CPS is at your house. I'm so worried about the children. In fact, I'm on my way over right now. As their only living relative, I believe I should be present for this discussion. I caught Mrs. Martinez's eye and put the phone on speaker. Of course, Aunt Diana, please come over. There's something on my security cameras you really need to see. Security cameras? For the first time, Diana's voice faltered. Oh yes, I replied calmly. The ones that caught you paying actors in the parking lot last night. The ones that recorded you planting evidence in my yard. The ones that caught every word of your little script meeting in the park. Those security cameras. The line went dead. Mrs. Martinez was already on her phone, reporting the false claims and suspected fraud. But I knew Diana wouldn't give up easily. This was just the beginning. But thanks to my Ring camera's unblinking eye, I was ready for whatever came next. The next 24 hours proved I was right about Diana not giving up easily. After her phone call abruptly ended, she launched what I can only describe as a desperate scorched earth campaign. First came the mass email to our entire extended family, painting herself as the concerned aunt trying to save her poor, troubled niece's children. The email detailed my supposed violent episodes, complete with doctor photos showing bruises on the twins, badly edited pictures from their martial arts class last summer. What Diana didn't know was that I had already sent the security footage to key family members. Cousin Mark, a police detective, was particularly interested in the video showing her staging evidence. Aunt Susan, who sat on the board of Diana's beloved country club, watched the footage of her paying actors with great interest. But Diana's biggest mistake came that evening. I was helping the twins with their homework when aggressive knocking rattled my front door. Diana stood there with her husband Tom and, surprisingly, 2 police officers. "These officers need to speak with Amy and Adam," Diana announced triumphantly. "Alone." Officer Chen, however, looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am, we received a call about children in distress." I smiled, reaching for my phone. "Officers, I assume you'd like to see my security footage first?" The same footage I shared with Detective Mark Collins this morning. Diana's face went from smug to pale in seconds. "What footage?" "Tom, they're lying." "Actually," Officer Chen interrupted, "Detective Collins already briefed us. We're here about a different matter." He turned to Diana and Tom. "Would you like to explain why you were attempting to break into this property at 3 a.m. last night?" Now it was my turn to be surprised. I quickly checked my phone's security alerts. There they were, notifications I'd missed during the twins' soccer practice. Crystal clear footage of Diana and Tom trying to force open my back door in the middle of the night, only running away when my security lights activated. We were checking on the children. Diana sputtered. "By trying to pick a lock?" Officer Chen asked dryly. "Mrs. Wallace, we have you on camera attempting to break and enter, following your documented attempts to file false CPS reports. Would you like to explain that?" Tom, always the weaker link, broke first. "Diana said we needed to get inside to to find evidence. She said if we could just prove Sarah was unfit." "Tom, shut up." Diana hissed, but it was too late. "Mr. Wallace," the second officer said, "are you admitting to conspiracy to commit breaking and entering, filing false reports, and attempting to fraudulently interfere with a custody situation?" The twins, watching from the stairs despite my attempts to keep them in the study room, chose that moment to speak up. "Is that why you told those people to lie about Mommy?" Amy asked Diana innocently. "Because you wanted our house?" Adam nodded. "We saw you giving them money. It's all on our tablets. Mom set up the security app for us after you started being mean." Diana's perfectly made-up face crumpled. "You little brats. This is all your mother's fault. That house should have been mine. I was the eldest daughter. I deserved." "Mrs. Wallace," Officer Chen cut in, "please put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for attempted breaking and entering, filing false reports, and conspiracy to commit fraud." As they led Diana and Tom to the police car, she started screaming about lawyers and family betrayal. The neighbors, the real ones, peeked out from behind their curtains at the spectacle. "Mom?" Adam tugged at my sleeve. "Is Aunt Diana going to jail?" I knelt down to hug both my children. "She made some very bad choices, honey, but we're safe, and that's what matters." Later that night, after the twins were asleep, I reviewed the security footage again. Diana's face as she tried to break in showed something beyond greed. There was desperation there. I discovered why the next morning when her husband's law firm called me. Apparently, Diana had been embezzling from their family business for years, using the money to maintain her lavish lifestyle. She'd been counting on getting my mother's house to cover her tracks before the annual audit. Now, with her arrest making headlines, the firm was launching a full investigation. The Ring camera footage had done more than protect us from false accusations. It had exposed years of deception. Sometimes karma needs a little technological assistance. As I watched the twins playing safely in our backyard the next day, I couldn't help but feel grateful for modern security systems. Diana had underestimated not just my preparedness, but also my determination to protect my children. The house she coveted so desperately would remain what my mother had intended, a safe haven for her grandchildren, protected now not just by locks and walls, but by an invisible network of digital eyes, always watching, always recording, keeping us safe from those who would harm us, even if they share our blood. 6 months after Diana's arrest, I sat in the courtroom watching her sentencing. She traded her designer clothes for a plain navy suit, her carefully maintained appearance showing signs of strain. The evidence against her had been overwhelming, not just my security footage, but years of financial records revealing her elaborate schemes. Mrs. Wallace, the judge began, this court finds your actions particularly disturbing. Not only did you attempt to fraudulently separate children from their mother, but you also embezzled nearly $2 million from your family's company. Diana's shoulders slumped as the judge continued listing her crimes. Tom had taken a plea deal, testifying against her in exchange for a lighter sentence. The hired actors had also cooperated, providing detailed statements about her orchestration of the false CPS reports. 7 years, the judge announced finally, with restitution to be paid to both the company and to Ms. Collins for emotional damages. As they led Diana away, she turned to me. I hope you're happy, she spat. You've destroyed this family. I simply held up my phone, recording one last time. Even now, she couldn't help but show her true colors. Outside the courthouse, my father, Diana's brother, waited with the twins. He'd been devastated by his sister's actions, but had stood firmly by us throughout the ordeal. Is it over, Mom? Amy asked, hugging me tightly. Yes, sweetheart, it's really over. The aftermath of Diana's arrest had rippled through our family in unexpected ways. The relatives who'd initially believed her emails now regularly checked in with us, perhaps compensating for their momentary doubt. The neighborhood, far from being scandalized, had rallied around us. Mrs. Peterson next door had organized a support group for families affected by toxic relatives, and our weekly meetings had become a source of healing for many. The twins, remarkably resilient, had turned the experience into a positive lesson. Their school presentation on modern technology and safety, featuring our Ring camera story, had won first prize at the science fair. They'd become little advocates for home security, solemnly advising their friends about the importance of catching bad guys on camera. 1 month after the sentencing, I received an unexpected visit from Tom's daughter from his first marriage, Lauren. She'd been estranged from her father and Diana for years, and the recent events had confirmed her long-held suspicions. They did the same thing to me, she revealed over coffee in my kitchen. Diana convinced my dad I was unstable when I was 17. I lost everything, my college fund, my home, my relationship with my father. I wish I'd had security cameras back then. Together, we pieced together Diana's pattern. She'd been manipulating family situations for decades, always with the same goal of financial gain. The house she wanted from me was just the latest target in a long line of attempted thefts. Lauren and I decided to create a support network for other victims of family financial abuse. We called it Eyes Wide Open, offering advice about protecting assets and documenting suspicious behavior. The Ring camera footage from my case became a powerful teaching tool, showing others how to protect themselves. The twins took particular pride in their role as junior security consultants, solemnly explaining to visitors how our camera system worked. Their trauma counselor said this sense of empowerment was helping them process the experience in a healthy way. 1 year to the day after Diana first sent her fake witnesses to my door, we held a family reunion, the first since her arrest. It was smaller than previous years, but somehow warmer, more genuine. Those who attended were the ones who'd stood by us, who'd chosen truth over manipulation. As I watched the twins playing with their cousins in the backyard, Lauren joined me on the porch. You know what's ironic? She said, sipping her lemonade. Diana always wanted this house because she thought it would give her power over the family. But in the end, the house helped expose her instead. She was right. My mother's house, with its network of security cameras, had become more than just a home. It was a symbol of protection, of truth prevailing over deception. That evening, after the guests had left and the twins were in bed, I sat in my garden reviewing the security footage out of habit. But instead of looking for threats, I found myself watching clips of the day's celebration. Children laughing, family members hugging, genuine moments of joy captured by the same cameras that had once caught Diana's crimes. The cameras still watched, but now they recorded a different story. One of healing, of family bonds strengthened through adversity, of truth and justice prevailing. Diana had wanted to use my children to steal this house. But in the end, she'd given us an unexpected gift. The knowledge that sometimes the best defense against darkness is simply shining a light on it. And somewhere in a prison cell, Diana was learning the hardest lesson of all, that in an age of digital eyes, the truth will always find its way into the light.